on hand at the event, but also gave out 5 additional scholarships afterwards to people who weren't able to attend. And one of the biggest things, one of the biggest reasons why we got involved with this, and if you remember, Hakeem, is the fact that we always wanted to give back and just try to have fun with it and find a purpose for it. But we realized that after a certain point, you can't do everything on your own. And
100%.
that's when we reached out to our community and to our friends and partners. And the love that was shown, the love that was given, the support that we got. And we only had 3 months to prepare, maybe less, actually. And I would deem it a success. Would you?
I would say it was a huge success. We did a major thing, and bringing together two really different worlds. As far as so many of my real estate partners came and showed love, and there was a huge outpouring for the kids. It was a great event. We had a live band. It was catered. The food was amazing. We had local vendors also support, and they were supported as well at the event. It was just a major turnout. I think we had over 100 people there for our first fundraiser.
I believe so. That's absolutely correct. And there was more people who donated online, which allowed us to be able to support more students on a larger scale. And I think because of something like that, I think that's the reason why we're trying to do it again. And we all know that last year, the whole year was pretty much shut down. And so it stopped us from being able to host another fundraising event. But fortunately enough, through the fundraisers and through strong partners, we were able to supply 8 scholarships last year. So we were still able to maintain and improve what was being offered to students across the city of Philadelphia. But this year, with things starting to, I guess, get better a little bit through the horizon, but the same problems persist for students who are trying to go to college. And one of those things is trying to find funding for school. And so this year, we're looking forward to doing something like the Give Back this year again. And it's going to be on a virtual scale this year. And so we'll give out more details as far as what it will look like. But please stay tuned, because on August 20th is when we'll do it again this year. And I'm really looking forward to what's going to come up next. And we haven't been disappointed yet. And with working with Goodwills and trying to support the community, I believe that we'll be able to succeed again.
Absolutely. I feel like we have so much good left to do. I think that as we continue to grow this initiative, I believe that more people will be blessed. I believe that we'll be able to, with your help, of course, all of our listeners out there, everyone watching on Facebook Live, I just feel like with your support, we'll be able to do so much more than we've already been able to do. We're super excited with the growth that came from nothing, right? A rose grew from the concrete. And Matt, can you maybe talk about one of the kids' stories that we helped to write?
Oh, definitely. I think the year during the Give Back, one of the students that we worked with was a student at CCP, and was finishing up the year, a single parent, but also just striving to finish their program. And it was when they did the application and also the referrals that came with it, we knew that this student could definitely benefit from the type of scholarships that we were giving out as well. This student is, I think, I'm going to double check, but I believe they graduated last year, and we'll just follow up and see where they are now. We currently have a student that also went to Duke that received a scholarship that year as well. And they've recently graduated, and now they've become one of the mentors for the program that will help any other students that are getting involved with in the near future. So that's one of the biggest and exciting things that we're looking forward to throughout that.
Absolutely, Matt. Well, I think we're going to do some big things this year. I really believe that We're going to 10x that number of kids that we helped. We're going to grow it exponentially with the help of everyone out there, and hopefully some repeat support from the folks who supported it last. So in that same regard, as far as helping uplift each other and helping each other grow, I think it's a good time to talk about some financial updates since the last time we spoke last month.
Yes.
So as far as interest rates and mortgage rates are concerned, because we are a real estate show, we got to talk about real estate a little bit. We are at the point now where we're starting to see interest rates rise in our market. We have seen the cost of housing across the board in Philadelphia increase, and so we're in a really strange environment financially in the real estate world. Rates are still historically low. With that being said, you may be hard pressed to see an interest rate in the 2 to 3% range. You're now looking maybe in the 3 to 4% range. And so, we want to be prepared for that. We want to financially be prepared for that. And there's a lot of sticker shock right now, right? The news is quick to talk about how interest rates have fell, but they're not really as quick or expedient to talk about how interest rates have kind of started to tick back up. And so we want to be intentional when we talk to our clients and we talk to our home buyers out there that, hey, rates are going up. Now is the time to buy. You don't want to wait until the rates are at 6% or 5% before you come to SMG or Singleton Mortgage Group to buy a home. You want to come to us now while our rates are still low, while we still have a window in which we could buy a house as affordable as possible. And talking about affordable housing, there's a new program that just rolled out from PHFA. It is called KFIT. The KFIT program is Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency's newest homeownership program. The KFIT program is the Keystone Forgivable in 10 program, which means that you can get a up to, and I want to be very, very clear about how much assistance is available out there. But you can get up to $10,000 down to help with your down payment and closing costs from the PHFA KFIT program. You can get up to $10,000 down payment assistance from the PHFA KFIT program. So I think that program is definitely going to be around to help some folks. The minimum credit score for that program is 660. If your credit score is below 680, you will need to, have a housing education certificate. Reach out to us at Singleton Mortgage Group. We can get you signed up with someone to help you get that education out of the way. And we're here to assist any way possible. So that's our big nugget, our big tip for the first time buyers out there, for folks that may be teetering on the fence. Now is the time.
Well, I have a question about that.
Yeah, ask away, Matt.
Yes. So, say for instance, if I'm someone that's interested in that program and I have a 680 on my credit score and I qualify in a few of those areas, do I just go to your website and just try to sign up for it? What would someone do if they were interested in even taking advantage of something like this?
For sure. So you wanna do two things. You wanna pick the phone up and you wanna call me. You can reach me at 267-337-3157 to explore that. You can shoot me a text message at the same number, 267-337-3157. And then you also can go to our website at singletonmortgage.com and click apply now. We'll get that ball rolling as quickly as possible for you. Once again, it is singletonmortgage.com. Click apply now.
Got it. Thank you.
For sure.
And one thing. Oh, sorry. You go ahead.
No, you're good.
Okay. Another thing that I wanted to follow up with is because last month we had a conversation talking about the importance of home ownership and the importance of like investing in properties and not just renting all of the time, which is not a problem at all, which is not what we're saying, but it's just the points that were made last year as far as the importance of investing. Now, if you just mentioned something about the interest rates going up recently, maybe like last week or so, is that correct?
That's correct.
And if someone, for the average person who has no idea what's going on with the interest, or has no idea what's going on in the housing market, how would someone find out about things like this if they weren't, let's say, listening to this radio station or being aware? Would the neighborhood interest rates just go up? Will it impact the taxes? Like, what are some things that we can look out for, to prepare so that you won't be in situations where these changes may really harm you in the long run?
For sure. So the major things that we can do as consumers is to try to stay in the know as much as possible. You want to try and make sure that as you watch the news, that you follow certain trends if you're in the market, right? If you're in the real estate market, you're looking to buy a house in the next 6 months, you need to start paying attention to real estate news. So you want to look at MSNBC. You want to follow and watch Bloomberg on Twitter. You want to pay attention to all of the finance, all of the major finance players. They're going to have some commentary around real estate. And also you want to follow Singleton Mortgage Group. You want to follow us on Instagram. You want to follow me. It's the Keem Show on Instagram and on Facebook. We're super active about getting the information out there and making sure it falls in the right ears. And talk to your real estate professionals. Talk to your realtor. Talk to your advisors. Talk to your financial advisors. They can also kind of explain what's happening in the market. So as far as why rates are going up for a couple of reasons. First is we're starting to see some inflation in our economy due to the massive stimulus package that was just pushed through government. So we want to make sure that we understand what happened, right? $1.6 trillion just got flooded into our economy. When you put that much money into an economy, there is more discretionary spending. There's more confidence in the market that the market is going to bounce back or is going to continue to grow. When the market grows, people look at the market as a safer place to invest their money, or investors or mutual funds or hedge funds look at the market as a safer place to invest their money. When we have market deterioration, when you see the stocks start to come down a little bit, when you see the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ, when I say stocks, start to slip a little bit, the investors take their money and they put it into a safe harbor, which they view as bonds, because bonds aren't moving. And so they move their money from the NASDAQ and the Dow Jones over to the mortgage-backed securities market, the 10-year, the 3-year UMBS. And so those places are where they move their money. So as the money moves into the MBS, the rates are it's considered safer, so it's a lower cost, so the rates are down. As the money moves away and moves into the stock market, typically is how the rates start to go. You start to see the stock market increase and the rates start to go up. And so it's a peculiar thing what happens in times like these, when the stock market is also rising and so are interest rates. As I just explained, that's kind of counterintuitive to what usually happens. And you have a big divide, right? You have the government pumping money into mortgage-backed securities to try to keep the rates as low as possible. But what you're seeing is natural inflation. So there's so much that the government can do to help prevent that inflation. And so that's what we're seeing. You're seeing inflation in our economy. You're seeing inflation in our interest rates. And so I believe they're not going to fly off the hinge, right? But I don't have a crystal ball. I don't see the future.
Definitely, and that's a really interesting topic that you brought up about the money that's being pumped um, into everyone through the stimulus packages and all of these different opportunities. And because, I'm in education, that I'm always thinking about how is that going to impact the students who are trying to push in the future, correct?
Right.
And so, just looking at things, we already know that a lot of schools had to close their campuses this year, correct? And so,
Yes.
To me, that's funding, that's money that's not being put into the colleges. And if like I know, schools are businesses. And I talk about this with my team and my coworkers all the time. And so that makes me think, like, how are these schools going to recoup their funding, right? They lost a whole year of income, sort of, in some stages. And so one of the things that I initially was thinking about was, how is that going to impact financial aid packages? And we have now, we're in April, so we have we're basically in April. But April is a really, really important month when it comes to financial aid packages. And most people are making their decisions by May 1st. And so we're looking at these different financial aid packages, and the conversations that we're having with students is, don't always look at the schools for the names, but look at it for what you're going to get from it, from the bigger picture. Because these students are making investments just as much as it costs to own a house when they're trying to go to school. And so that's why the conversations are different this year. And we constantly sending out these warnings to the students, basically saying, make sure when you make these decisions, and when I tell this to parents as well, I tell this to all the parents that we talk to, yes, you want your child to go to the best schools, and yes, you want them to get the best education. But you don't want that education to come at a cost that is going to impact them for the rest of their lives because of quick decisions we made when they were 17, 18, and 19 years old. And so that's one thing that we're going to look further into, and maybe during our next radio show, we might bring up more details or suggestions or ways that students could avoid these pitfalls or potential problems in the future when they're making these long-term investments and type of decisions at this age range. Because it's really important that we know what's going on. Just like you mentioned, how it will impact the interest rate, people may not know what's going on with the schools as well. So
let's talk about that a little bit more, though, Matt. Let's talk about how the students could be potentially impacted, or something that the students or the parents should think about as well. There was a lot of money pumped into our economy as far as the stimuluses, the PUA money. Some people were making more on the PUA than they were with their regular jobs. How does it affect the students that are going to be going to college that have to fill out the FAFSA?
I cannot say how it will. I cannot say how it will directly impact them. Right. Mm-hmm. This is one of the first times in 100 years since we've been involved in since the world has seen a pandemic of this level, of this magnitude. And just from my experience, as far as just an education period, there's been inflation with tuition for the last 20, 25 years steadily. So I can't help but to think it's going to increase even more. And so without saying the impact that will happen on financial aid or FAFSA or things like that, what I can say is be more selective when it comes to picking what schools that these students are signing up for, right? Mm-hmm. Because sometimes when you have your school tuition, and when we go over the award letters with the students, we talk about this all the time, but when you have the cost of attendance for a school, and then they give you that financial aid package, sometimes, majority of the time, that financial aid package is including a loan, but it also don't always cover the full cost of that school. So what ends up happening is the student has to find a way to close that gap. That's what they call it, a gap. You have to find a way to close that gap, and that's one of the biggest that's one of the toughest conversations that we have with our students on a daily basis, of trying to figure out, yes, you want to go here. Yes, this is your dream school, but how are we paying for this? And that's how we always get, full circle. So it brings us back to one of the root reasons why the scholarship fund was even created. We wanted to help with the gap. We want to help building on that. And that's one of the things that we talk to students often, but we need more parents to have this conversation. And I'm not against students signing up for community colleges. I'm not against students making sure when they do decide to go to school, it's okay going undecided. It's okay to go liberal arts or general ed. But the problem is that some schools, the undecided can cost you $12,000. And another school being undecided, it could cost you $2,000. And, it's okay trying to figure out what your path is, but the conversations need to be longer. The conversations need to be more detailed, and it needs to be more homework done on the front end before these type of decisions are made, because we don't know what's going to happen next. But one thing we do is always prepare and be ready for if it's going to be a turn for the worse or a turn for the better. And so that's one of the things that, we always try to emphasize, and that's one of the things I always try to bring up.
Absolutely. So here's my next question, because I think this topic is amazing. I think it's something that we as Black and brown people don't necessarily address as much as we should. I see too many kids go to college and have to stop attendance because of lack of financing, lack of funding. And that's one of the reasons why we started the Give Back. But talk about how parents can assist in this process without necessarily having to sign their name on a loan, right? How can they help their kids in their junior and senior year?
Well, that's another thing too. It starts before junior and senior year, right? And that's it's like a system inside of working inside of like public schools and different things like that. The conversations are always, you go to school, get good grades. Once you graduate, then it's college, and then it's career. It's like a system. You do it because you're supposed to. But there are a bunch of options that are offered by the government and the state. There's like the PA 529 plan, right, which allows parents to invest into a savings account, and it won't be taxable, right? And then that's money that you can use towards education. But but things like that, a lot of our families aren't in the opportunity or in the place to be able to save extra funds, because money is already tight with majorities of the families that we work with anyway. And so one of the things that could happen is making applying for scholarships more of a priority. I wish that people would use like signing up for scholarships as a job. And I tell this to students all the time. It's a full-time job, because you're not just investing for now, you're investing for your next 4 years. And a lot of times when families try to close the gaps when it comes to, getting into that first year of school, what always sometimes gets overlooked is the fact that that gap that you covered was for 1 year, and you're in that school for sometimes 4, 5, 6 years. So we scrapping around getting loans and all these other things, but by the time that first year is over, where are you going to get this additional funding from? And if you can't close it, no matter how many credits you have, no matter how close you are to graduating, you're not going to be allowed on that campus until you pay that funding. And the other twist is, if you transfer to another school, they may not release your grade unless you pay that debt. It's a cold world. It's a real business. But the biggest thing that parents can do, to answer your question directly, is to make applying for scholarships and looking for additional funding. In addition to like great grades and, you know, performing while in high school. That's also important. But it's the after school thing. When they get out of school at 3 o'clock, that 4 to 7 o'clock, have them apply for 10, 15 scholarships a day. No, they're not going to get everyone. No, you're not going to just, you know, bang out a bunch of money just because you apply to a few. But you got to keep pushing, and you just got to keep investing in that time, because in the long run, that payoff, that time that you put in initially is what's going to really help and benefit in the tail end. And when parents are starting in April trying to prepare for college that's happening in August, you're already a few years behind the buck. And finding that funding is going to be way harder during this time, because that's when everyone else is looking for it. So it's like prepare ahead of time.
So here, and while you were talking, something popped into my head about a conversation and a class that you taught at a national seminar. I'm gonna be a parent, right? I'm gonna say, all right, Mr. King, I appreciate all of your content and all of your direction around applying for scholarships, but my kid is the #1 basketball player in the city, and he's gonna get a D1 ride somewhere. Mm-hmm. Let's talk. We've seen this so many times. We've seen this happen with personal friends. We've seen this happen with students that you've mentored and coached and taught later, you know, years ago. And these kids are amazing. And for some reason or another, they don't get the funding. Mm-hmm. Why?
Well, that's it's more of a loaded question. Reason being is always a variety of reasons. Like, so if a student, say for instance, the student is an amazing student and they're a student athlete, right? Mm-hmm. And they're saying, I got my first D1 offer. I have 20-something D1 offers, right? Mm-hmm. And they got the D1 offer when they were in 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, whenever they got that offer. Mm-hmm. All of those offers, right underneath that little line in the bottom right-hand corner, is all conditional, right? None of them are fully guaranteed until the paperwork or until they first day on campus. Because schools are only allocated a certain amount of scholarships to be able to give out. They're allocated them per year, and sometimes, and we are talking about D1, but just being transparent, the majority of the students that I work with, they're getting D2, D3, JUCO offers, and so D1 is another level because they have a bunch of funding and things, and they have TV companies and different things like that behind these schools that allows them to be able to give out that amount of money, right? Mm-hmm. But D2 schools and D3 schools, they give out different type of scholarships. Sometimes they give out athletic scholarships, but they're only, part-time. Sometimes it's based on grade, so it's not just about being a student athlete, but when you go to these campuses, you have to maintain a certain average to even be able to be eligible to play on the team. Because inside the public school, you have to have like a 2.5 or something average GPA in your core classes in order to be eligible to play. So when you go to college, they have a stipulation for some of these teams to be able to uphold those things. And so, say for instance, if they don't keep up the grade, if they get injured, if like they don't get along with the coach or their coach get fired before they get to the school, these are things that can change the stipulations of what that initial scholarship offer really was. And these type of things happen all the time. And at the end of the day, it's always a business. It's a business. They want the best athletes because it helps their program, it helps prestige. It's a whole ripple effect. But the same thing on the students. The students want a chance to go to college for free. They want a chance to reach whatever goals or dreams they have, and you're still able to play sports. So it's like a give and take, and that's why the debate all the time between financing college students or just talking about those different levels of things. But whenever a student or someone gets an offer, it's not guaranteed. That's the bottom line, though. And things can happen, And we have those months as soon as they graduate from high school going to college. Things can happen between there as well. So it's really important to not only secure the offers, but to make sure that you're doing everything that's needed in order to stay and be eligible to play in these schools and everything.
So I want to spend 2 more minutes on this topic because I think this topic is going to help a lot of parents who are listening right now who may have college age kids. I myself, I was a D3 athlete. I went to a Division III college and played football there. For me, it was a dream.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, I was not the best athlete, but my my work ethic is through the moon, and
Right.
because of my work ethic, I was able to play on a collegiate level. It wasn't a skill set. It wasn't my skill level. It wasn't a talent level. I'm going to learn the position like the back of my hand, and I'm going to outwork the person in front of me. And so I actually received a merit scholarship to
Right.
go to college, and it was tied in educational merits. I had to keep a certain GPA, but I would not have received that merit scholarship. I would not have known about that program. I would not have known about that school unless I was recruited to play ball there. And so it was indirectly because of my athletic achievements in high school. And I say achievements very lightly because there weren't many, right?
Right.
But I say this to say I'm gonna hit I'm gonna kind of sum it up, right? I think that no matter what your child is doing, no matter if they're the number 1 basketball player in the city or they're the number 1 football player in the city, or they can fly 100 meters on a track in like 11 seconds. I think the moral is you should always have your child applying for scholarships, whether they're the best in what they do or not. Because there's not so much as too much funding, and if you don't use it, what happens if you don't use a scholarship, Matt? How's that work?
What do you mean? Explain that a little bit more. What do you mean
If you're awarded a scholarship and your tuition has been met fully for the semester, and the scholarship is applied at that semester, what happens with the excess funds?
It really depends on what type of scholarships there are. If the scholarships are based on just for tuition or just for books, then the funding will go there. And if that funding is already covered, I think in some cases they may not be eligible to receive it. But if the scholarship is just like a general scholarship, like a private scholarship that's not really directed to where it could go, then the students may be eligible for like some type of refund check or something. But it really matters what type of scholarship it is and how the school is applying the funding.
So let's talk about that. So your kid, for example, my son goes to school. He gets a merit scholarship, and we applied for 4 years, and we ended up somehow, some way getting $30,000 in additional scholarship funds. And those scholarship funds are applied at different points in the college career. And guess what? They're private, and possibly I overpay, and the college sends back a refund of excess tuition paid. Now we can help the child with additional money for food, additional money so that he has pocket money and is not in a position where he's in college or she's in college and struggling and trying to figure it out, because that's when mistakes are made. You and I both personally have had friends that went to college and made some mistakes because they were hungry, or because they didn't have the essentials. Their tuition and their room and board was paid for because they were athletes, but they didn't have food in their bellies. They didn't have the money to get a proper set of pants or clothes.
Right.
Essentials.
Yeah, that's the realities of some of the things that happen once the limelight of the initial offer letter or anything is shown, right? That's the thing on the back end that everyone may not see, and it's also about, it's different schools and different situations as well, and I think I wholeheartedly believe in, like, if you do get offers, when times were much easier, I believe in visiting there first, getting a feel for it, asking the right questions, and just to know how students will be supported. In addition to whatever scholarships may be given, what type of meal plans might be attached to it, or what type of workout plans, or different perks that are not listed on the initial award letter or initial offer. Those are the type of questions that may come up, because there are some situations where students may be on campus. They may have ran out of their meal plan. They may not have been able to eat, having to eat oodles and noodles or whatever else is available. Those are some situations that could happen or has happened. But the best way to try to avoid those is to try to get a feel for whatever school you're going to, asking the additional questions, and really knowing how that support is going to be laid out.
All right, cool. So, and I'm gonna add another solution as well. For you parents out there that are homeowners, that are trying to help bridge the gap with funding, you can use your house to help pay for college. Let's say you've lived in your house for 20 years and you have a ton of equity, especially right now in this insanely high appreciative market. We are in a seller's market still. I saw Norma Williams ask that question on Facebook. Thank you, Norma. We are in a seller's market. But what that means for you as a homeowner, if you're not selling your property, you have the ability to pull cash from your property because of the appreciation that we're seeing. So let's say you bought your house 10 years ago for $150,000. That same house may be worth $250,000 today, and you paid down your mortgage to about $60,000, and you have a child that's in college, and you see that over the next 3 or 4 years you're going to be short $30,000. Well, you can pull that $30,000 from your home, and we can help you navigate that process, and maybe even lower your mortgage payment in the process, because, like I said at the top of the show, rates are still low. So I want to just let our producer know if anyone calls, if anyone has questions about that, please, if you can, patch them through, and we can kind of lean in and answer any questions for the last 5 minutes of the show as we continue to talk. But it is an excellent idea to pull some cash from your property, refinance the debt, and help assist with the burden of college education. And guess what? Maybe your child may not go to college, but I strongly suggest a trade school. I strongly suggest some form of secondary education. Right now we're in the world where college education is awesome. It's not necessarily a mandate to go to college at this point in our society, but there is a mandate to have a skill. And for you kids out there, sometimes video gaming is a skill, but you have to be exceptional. Sometimes being an influencer on social media is a skill, but you have to be exceptional. So, my advice to the parents is to help your kids be exceptional at something. And if they're not exceptional at something when they graduate high school, or while they're going to high school and preparing to graduate, you need to be exceptional at applying for scholarships. Any last thoughts, Matt?
Yes. If anybody has any additional questions about college or post-secondary or anything, you can send me an email at teamkingphl onwurd@gmail.com. And if anybody wanted to find additional information about resources and other things that may be able to help out with any initiatives that we mentioned earlier, please visit dreams2big.com, and that's dreams2big.com, and just subscribe on that page, and you will receive additional emails and information moving forward in different ways of how to stay connected.
Absolutely, and you'll also get some information about the Give Back event, and also we'll be getting some information out to you about how to apply for some of our scholarship opportunities within the Give Back. So we're super thankful that you guys have chosen to spend this 45 minutes with us. We want to invite you to reach out to us personally. Once again, you can reach out to me at 267-337-3157. Matt and I are excellent resources for you. We live by what we say. And while you're at Matt's website, grab a T-shirt. He has some of the best apparel in the city. I love the Dreams Too Big gear. I love to dream big, and I love to defy the local odds. Thank you, Hakeem Singleton from Singleton Mortgage Group, and I'm here with
Matt King of TK Brand.
Thank you so much, guys, and I hope you guys have an awesome remainder of your day. I'll see you next month. Real Estate and More Show, Dreams Too Big, Singleton Mortgage Group. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Pull up in motorcades. I got a show today.